Okay, as I speak of right now, JP Morgan's just changed their predictions about the quantitative tightening ending in 2026, and we are likely to begin quantitative easing in either next month or either in December in the last Fed's meeting. For those who don't understand quantitative tightening, that's when the Feds sees the economy when it's having a lot of money, or let's say a lot of money in the system or in the economy. So it just control inflation in simple terms. As the Fed is having a target of 2% inflation, which is kind of almost the opposite as of today's reality, because either you're looking at the normal inflation or the core inflation, they're both at 3% as of right now, as I speak. We should try to understand that today's Fed inflation is not in a state where you should be thinking of the Fed to be printing more money. In simple terms, for those who don't understand quantitative easing, in a simple language, to understand quantitative easing is when the Fed prints more money to sustain the lagging economy or the slow growth in the economy, in simple terms. So we should try to understand that the Fed printing money or starting its printing of money to the economy means one or two things. High inflation would be going high, and it will be heading high as much as it can, in simple terms. You're getting. So you should try to understand that whenever the Fed is going to be printing more money, you're going to face a barrier or a character where me and you lose our purchasing power every day. The biggest question will be like, is the Fed making the right move to be cutting rates or to be printing money, in simple terms? It's kind of controversial, but we should try to understand that the Fed today is in a move or is in a position where it's not sure of the direction should be taken. If you have been looking at the Fed meeting mostly, you should try to understand that Powell himself has been or is having a behavior where I would say he's speaking of the word uncertainties. Whenever an institute uses the word uncertain, they are not sure of the direction they are taking. Just to recent, the US debt, I don't know if I should be congratulating it, made it to almost around $37 trillion of debt, in simple terms. You should try to understand that debt comes out of money printing. That debt comes out of the overspending the government does. That debt comes out of the aggressive spending that's done by the US government. See, the biggest export the US does for the rest of the world, mostly that's not initially said out. That's exporting innovation or printing money to the rest of the world, because it has the ability to print money out of thin air without any backup of gold, anything. That's why today we are seeing the growth of the BRICS coming, or maybe the BRICS nation trying to fight that in one or the other. But we are here to talk about the core or the consumer price index that's over 3%. Regardless if the government of the US is saying that current inflation is at 3%, I would highly recommend you to think of that could be like a double, either could be 6%, because the numbers coming out of the government don't really encounter well with the actual economy today or the microeconomy today. We should try to understand that a certain behavior or a character means two or three things in simple terms. See, we're in a situation where the government is not sure where it should be either continue printing money or easing. So, in simple terms, we try to understand that in the month of May, June, July, and August, we saw that the US lost almost over 200,000 jobs in that kind of a period. It lost a number of jobs. This forced the Feds almost in October to start thinking of easing to save the job employment, also to save the labor force for the US. You should try to understand that in one way or the other, saving the labor force, the labor force in the US also comes with the inflation hedge. If whenever the Fed is going to be trying its level best to save the labor force, it's going to come with the you and me losing our purchasing power or the ability to possess our money, like to be our you and my money is going to be getting devalued. And always, whenever the Fed is going to be printing more money, you're going to find yourself in a situation where the Fed has to decrease your purchasing power in the name of saving the labor market. We should try to understand that the actual solution is also kind of sad. It's kind of sacrificial. Like they're going to be sacrificing one way or the other, just me and you losing money in one way or the other, but to make sure you and me are still having our jobs or we're finding job opportunities. Regardless how you see this one or the other, just know this indicates what they call a stagnant kind of economy. It indicates a kind of economy where the direction of growth is rare to be seen, and the GDP growth is going to be really down in simple terms. Expect to see what we'll be calling GDP growth to be either stagnant, either to be either at 1% or negative. And I'm speaking of the annual GDP growth. I'm not speaking of the month-over-month GDP. I'm speaking of the year-over-year GDP. Because this kind of situation indicates that the US government is kind of a stagnant kind of a government, like in a stagnant condition or a failure in growth or a forgot how to grow economy. We should try to understand that this kind of a situation indicates two other things. It indicates that the US government is slowing down. The US government is showing indications of a recession. The US government indicates uncertain. Whenever the big institutes that control inflation and the interest rates are kind of uncertain in most cases, expect that you're in a blind spot where you're in a ship where you're not sure of the direction you're taking. You should try to understand that a kind of a move shows that the US economy today looks to be in a situation where it's either not sure where it's heading to. Two, the decision making is all done on luck, not on actual data, like this is the actual data and this should be done. Because this is where a big scam comes in. See, the Fed having a goal of 2% inflation rate to be kept at 2% inflation. As the government cannot control its spending, for example, I'm going to give you an example of Trump with the big and beautiful bill. That's over almost, we say that could add over 2.34 trillion US dollars on the US debt in the long run. All this is inflationary. All this means money printing. All this means when the politicians in power are not sure of what they're doing or what they're likely to be, trying to get themselves into and makes it to be kind of funny to think of the Fed that could achieve that kind of a goal to have a 2% inflation rate. In simple language, you try to understand that as of today, the US government, I'm sure, is still under a government shutdown. And you try to understand that as Republicans and Democrats are fighting for the Medicare to be part of the budget, they're trying to cut down the budget, but which is kind of also a situation that's unsolvable. Like, I understand the Republican part, but you have to understand that also the people today who are under Medicare still need that support. So as Republicans are still fighting over the opening up or the closing up the US government, there's a lot of uncertainty and blindness still taking place in the US economy. Because the direction of the US economy, the tariffs that are incoming, that are on and off, the Trump behavior or ideology of thinking that he could return the US economy into has made the US economy in actual sense to be reaching its worst position. We should try to understand that whenever you look at indicators like the gold prices gold prices surging high and high. It indicates a lot that the fiat currency is losing trust to the rest of the world or the global economy. However, all I can say, the rest is to be seen in the future, and I cannot predict tomorrow. Regardless, we're just waiting for the next results. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.